got so bad that sometimes he would bring 2 women, and I got so used to sleeping on the couch.
And your kids are in the same house?
Yes. Yes. First of all, when my period started, I never told anyone. And what I used to do is I would cut pieces of mattresses or blankets. So even here, I'm doing the same thing. I don't know. And my husband is wondering.
Blanket inaenda wapi? Mattress inaenda ki?
What's wrong with this chick? Like, what's wrong with this chick? Yeah.
So, Celine, you get a baby, your auntie pays the bill, you have some clothes for the baby. Who comes for you from the hospital home?
Of course, my auntie, and she took me to her place. And
to Huheria you?
To Huheria me.
Yes.
And I was there for some few months. Yeah, because it was a CS, and
you couldn't move around.
I couldn't move around.
And CS back then, they were complicated.
They were complicated. And then they did this big, what do you call them?
Cut.
This big cut that goes from here to down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm also trying to figure out this motherhood. No, nobody prepared me for the baby will cry at night. They'll not sleep.
They'll sleep during the day, and at night they're awake.
They're awake. Also, my auntie was not working at that time. So she's also struggling. Yeah, and at that time, also the other auntie who has paid my bill is sick, and she came back to Kenya. So she's taking care of her sister and me. So I had to go back to my husband. Yeah, and I told him actually, come and pick me, and he came and picked you. That is how we started life. And yeah, it was not actually, we were living like housemates, friends.
Yeah.
Because I'm also 16, I'm still a teenager. I don't know how to
you don't know how to be a woman.
To be a woman, to be...
Anyway, that one, that.
And let me tell you something. First of all, when my period started, I never told anyone. And what I used to do is I would cut pieces of mattresses or blankets. So even here, I'm doing the same thing. I don't know. And my husband is wondering.
Blanket inaenda wapi? Mattress inaenda ki?
What's wrong with this chick? Like, what's wrong with this chick? Yeah. Yeah, and that was basically my life. So I've not figured, I had not figured things out. A mother, a teenager, a wife. Yeah.
Akuna balance. There's no balance.
There's no balance. There's no direction. As in, I have just grown. Yeah, and
so you have this baby, and that's it. Were you like me? I was like, can't have anymore.
Babies?
Yes. I was like, I was so afraid. I remember when I had my baby and I holded her like this. My biggest fear was to have another one.
I don't think those thoughts ran through my mind. I was not even thinking that I'm having a baby. Yeah, so hiyo ya kufikiria I can have another one. I'm not even thinking I'm having this one.
So it's like you're living in another world.
In another world.
The reality is here, but you're also on another world.
And that was my reality for a long time.
So do you say to exam?
Connecting my reality to, how do you call it?
The other world.
The other world.
You can. Is there a word to explain the other world?
Not actually the other world. Huh? Connecting yourself to reality, because each time something happens, you create a world, your world, your own world. So you're not able to connect these two worlds, the reality and the world you're living in. Yeah. So
do you go sit down for the exam?
Yes. I would leave the baby with him. The baby was 8 months, and go sit for my exam. And after my exams, I got pregnant again. And by this time, my grandmother had passed on. Yeah.
But before she passed on, she got, because mothers and grandmothers have a way of accepting.
Yeah. Yeah, she passed on when I was around 4 months pregnant with my firstborn. And I remember we had a conversation, and she took an orange and cut it into half, gave me a piece, and she ate a piece. And she knew that she was going to die, and she was 54. I don't know how her relationship with God was very deep. Yeah. And she gave me a piece, and she asked me to forgive her. And she said she has forgiven me. And she went to a funeral,
someone had died, a funeral service, not funeral
no
service. That gathering that we have to prepare the funeral.
And she preached there. She prayed, and she died.
What?
Yeah, that is how she died. Yeah, and now I don't even know
gathering.
In someone's gathering. She died. I don't even know. I remember it. I felt a sharp, when I realized my grandmother had passed on. I don't think I'll ever feel that kind of pain again. And I remember asking God, whom have you left for us? And a woman said, God is the father to the fatherless. Yeah, but I couldn't understand that at that time.
Back then.
Yeah, so, and by the time my baby was 1 year, 3 months, I got pregnant again. And I remember the exact day I conceived. I didn't know, but I knew that I have conceived. Yeah.
Yes.
And
maybe it's because it was the second time, now you had an idea.
I don't know. I just felt that I have conceived, though I was in denial. And
you're still living in that cube, that small room.
Yeah.
In his parents' compound.
And there are so many wrangles, there are so many things. Yeah, so I went back. At this point, he was moving out with my best friend.
When you got the pregnant with the second child?
Even before I got pregnant, he
with
was,
your best
he was
friend.
having an affair with my best friend. And I would see them holding hands out there. So.
And you wouldn't say anything?
No.
Okay.
Also, I didn't know how to speak for myself. Yeah, so I would.
And you've grown up with being shut down all the time.
Yeah.
And also learning to adapt to situations, no matter how hard the situation is. That's what you've grown around.
Exactly. So I went back home because I couldn't take it. And since now my grandmother is not there, I was given like a small house, a very small house whereby I would do casual jobs for people and try to fend for my children.
Did he come looking for you guys?
No. He's having the time of his
life.
He has a new girlfriend with no babies.
And you with your babies, 2 of them now.
Yeah. So I was depressed. And I remember sometimes I would just remove clothes to do laundry outside and just sit there the whole day without even remembering that I'm supposed to do something. And then in the evening I would just like come back to normal and realize I've been sitting here all day.
Wow.
Yeah, and that is how.
And you had no one to talk to?
I had no one to talk to. First of all, my friends have shunned me.
Yes.
You are pregnant and you have another baby. We don't want you in our circle.
And then betrayal, your best friend is with your husband.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah. And I'm also still a baby. So when labor pains came, you see the first one, you don't even know if it's
labor or anything.
Yeah.
Me, I thought I was sick.
And it's a CS.
During my labor, I thought I was sick. I told my mom, I think I'm sick. She asked me where. The way I'm feeling, right here. I need to go check if I have malaria.
She knew. She knew. Time has come.
So the second one, you know?
The second one, it's not that I know, but I felt pain here and here. And I knew, if this is not a baby, I don't know.
And you had a CS.
And I had a CS. And that day I did laundry. I had done I had washed clothes for everyone. Like
mtu akikuja later. I don't know what happens that day.
It was too much pain. I locked the house. It was on a Wednesday evening. I went to my bed. I labored. From Wednesday.
And where's the other baby?
He's there. He's sitting there. And how if there's an experience in my life, I saw God, an experience called in the presence of God. It was that experience because my baby is here. He has not eaten. Wednesday evening, Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning is when I had my baby. And I was so weak.
All of you have not eaten.
At least there was some food.
Yeah.
He ate on Wednesday night. And you know, when you're in labor, you can't even eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. He ate on Wednesday and maybe Thursday. And maybe there was some
snack, too small feeding
mandazis. Yeah. But he was seated there next to me. And
and here you're living at your grandfather's,
my grandfather's, but it's like a separate house. And in the morning of Saturday, July 3rd, with the little strength I had, I pushed my baby. I felt that urge to push. And I pushed my baby and then collapsed.
You didn't fear the CS?
I was begging God to let us die because I don't even know how life will continue for us. I don't know what this is. I don't know. There's no hope for me. There's no hope. Absolutely no hope. And then you're rejected by family. Nobody wants you.
There's no hope. And you feel like the more life is moving, the more it's becoming worse.
Complicated, yeah.
So you push the baby and collapse. My viewers, you have to wait. Hold on. Do not move because we need to know the next step, how it moves. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to my channel. Do not forget to leave a comment. Tell us how you're feeling throughout this storytelling. And also, if you have a story that you'd like to share about your own journey, you are a teenage mother, and your journey is inspiring, that would give hope to other teenage mothers, please write to the email down below or this number down below. Leave a short message on WhatsApp and I'll get back to you, and we will be right back. So with the CS, you had the baby, the urge to push the baby, you push the baby and you collapse. The baby comes out.
The baby comes out.
Then you collapse.
And then I collapse. And then when I woke up, maybe a few minutes later or so, I think a neighbor heard me screaming and came. And she's the one who was trying to cut the umbilical cord. My auntie also came, and they're trying to cut the umbilical cord. And now I've woken up. I need to try stand so that the placenta can come out. Yeah, and I remember I asked them, is it a boy or a girl? I didn't want a girl. I wanted a boy because I didn't want to name my mom. Yeah. Yeah, and I wanted a boy, and it was a boy. And now I don't have clothes. Depression is bad. Ask me why. I had my firstborn clothes, and I had given them out when I was 7 months pregnant. I folded them nicely, and I gave them to another teenage mother.
You instead of keeping them for yourself.
And I'm pregnant. So
It's the denial.
It's the denial. The bed I was sleeping on was full of bed bugs. See those small? Yeah, it was full of bed bugs. And then I had used the remaining shawls to, what do you call it? I had used them as pillows.
Wow.
Yeah, so I just pulled the shawls.
And made a pillow.
And no. When I had my baby, I just pulled the shawls and wrapped my baby. And a t-shirt and a nylon paper and wrapped my baby. Yeah, and of course people brought clothes later.
At least shopping.
Food was scarce. I would eat whenever we got food. Yeah, but God is faithful, because you see, when you're a teenager, you've got strength and you feel like you have a lot of strength.
Yes.
Because I started looking for casual jobs a week later. And the first person to give me a casual job was my aunt, another one married to my dad's brother. And I remember she gave me so many clothes to wash. I washed them from morning, from 9 to 3 in the evening. And then she told me they are not clean. She gave me 50 shillings. Yeah. A week, maybe a week and a half after birth. After giving birth.
You have your baby there when you're washing?
Yeah, and my baby used to cry. My second born used to cry. He would cry, he would not let anyone hold it. And he would cry. And then that is when I realized nobody wants me. Absolutely no one wants me. And at 8 months, I decided, let me go back to my husband. This is
too much.
And I took myself back. And when I took myself back, see, it's me who has taken myself back. Stay if you want to. And I stayed, and I felt this is better than where I was. But
there was something different, like food was better
at my
your husband's place.
At least we used to eat. Yeah, and life continued and life went on. But between now giving birth and 8 months, it was a hassle. I used to look 45 when I'm 18.
I can imagine.
You mean, there was no hope. With 2 small boys, you're trying to feed them, you're trying to clothe them. You see, my second born, the first time he wore a socks was at 6 weeks. And it's someone who gave me 20 shillings. And I was taking him for his clinics. And I decided, why not buy socks? Yeah. You would hold my baby, bed bags would come out from his shoulders, and he would be wrapped in nylon papers. And I went back to him, and life continued. He continued with his affairs and all that. And at one point, God opened a door for him, and he went to the US. Yeah, and I felt, now that he's gone, at least he would send money back home. And he used to send money, and he would send money, and life changed for us.
Life changed?
Yeah, completely.
Life changes.
Life changes.
So by this time you're like how old?
22.
22?
Yeah.
Like, and now are you aware about yourself, or you're just there?
No. You see,
still unafuata whatever comes.
For a person to be a human being, to be a person, they have to go a certain direction.
Yeah.
You lived your childhood, you lived your teenagehood, and you live your adulthood. I never lived any of that. So I don't even know if I am still a child, if I am still a teenager, or if I'm still an adult. I don't know. So he would send money, and me as a good wife, I would invest the money for him.
And you're a good wife.
Yes,
and you needed that.
I needed that.
That's what you knew.
To feel,
That's what you knew.
I knew, I would invest for him. I bought plots for him. I put money in his account. He would send a lot of money. Like,
at least you showered and dressed up.
Yeah, at least. And then he would tell me, put a certain amount in my account. He would send like 300k and ask me to take only 10k and put the rest in his account.
And you did.
And I did.
Aww.
He would send me money and ask me take to my parents, and I would. And then he would send me money and ask me, this is there are numbers he had given me. This is my aunt in Muranga. This is my aunt in Siju where. I came to realize they were all women. He was
girlfriends.
He was supporting women, and I'm the one who was sending the upkeep money. Like,
and then you're getting the smallest amount.
I'm getting the smallest amount. And then before he left, he had a child with another woman, and I was bringing up that child.
Without knowing?
No.
You knew?
Yeah, he had brought the child. The woman dumped the child at him when she was 2.5 months, and he brought the child home to me, and I was bringing up another child. Yeah, so until the child was around 1 year, 2 months even, and the mom decided to take the baby. So,
oh my God,
but I was not
had
worried.
An amazing heart. You still have.
You can say that again.
You still have.
But there are some things I cannot do now.
I know. Oh my God, that's crazy.
Healing is good, yeah. So that was basically my life. But I was living at the top of the world, yeah. He was sending money, he was supporting us and all that. Until 2 years later, he decided, now let me come and see you guys. And why not? He came and we decided, let's have our last child before you go back. And I got pregnant. This one we talked. We had a conversation.
At least there was a planning.
There was a planning. And yeah. And I got pregnant. Getting pregnant, things changed. Took a 360-degree turn, like anti-clockwise.
Oh my God.
The dude changed. And by changing, I mean, the doctor had asked me to take a bed rest because it was a difficult pregnancy. And so I was not doing any kind of work.
And at least you ukukoma 20s, you're in your 20s there.
Yeah.
You're not a child, let's say.
I'm not a child, yeah. So he changed and he stopped providing, stopped
sending money.
No, he's in Kenya. He's still in Kenya.
Oh.
He stopped providing. He would leave the house in the morning and there's no
He didn't
food.
go back to States?
He had not gone back. So, by this time, the mother of the other child had picked the child.
Yeah.
And actually, I even used to send money to that woman. Yeah, and without his knowledge, without my ex-husband knowledge. Yeah, so he started now bringing women into the house in my presence. He would ask me to go sleep on the couch as he slept with the women on my bed. And I got so used to it.
And you did?
Yes. I have no option. I have nowhere to go. And I'm also a good wife, remember? Yeah. And in the morning I would make them I would fix them breakfast, and I would even wash the bed sheets. I had nowhere to go. And also there is money. So even if he's not supporting me, at one point he'll come to his senses.
And also you became numb over things happening to you.
Yes. So I'm actually thinking this is the life. And maybe sometimes husbands do this and he will look back and see where we've come from and all that. So it got so worse, so bad that sometimes he would bring 2 women. And I got so used to sleeping on the couch.
And your kids are in the same house?
Yes. Yes. He's not worried. See, dude has money.
Money speaks.
Money. Money speaks. So I got so used to that. And at one point he brought home 2 women. It was in the wee hours of the morning, and the kids were there. It was a holiday. So they are out up there. Our house had an upstairs. Our bedroom was upstairs. So they're making a lot of noise. They're moaning. They're doing all sort of thing. And so I knocked on the door to ask him to at least keep it low because of the kids are home.
Oh my God.
He came out, slapped me, rolled me down the stairs, and I rolled down the stairs. And
you're pregnant.
And I'm pregnant. I'm 5 months pregnant. He gave me 5,000 and asked me, go and have an abortion. Kazi yako ni kuzaa. That is how I left that man.
You took your babies
I
that
took my
hour.
babies. It is in the morning. It is during the day now. I held my babies and I took the money. I couldn't leave the money. And I left. And that is how I left that house with a 5 months pregnancy.
And 5,000?
No, it was not 5,000. It was 20,000. And my children. And yeah, that is how I left him. And now
you start life again.
I'm starting life again. Alone. With no experience, with nothing, except now my children and my pregnancy and the 20,000.
At least 20K.
At least 20,000. And that was a good start. And I looked for a house. I went back to Kabete. It's the only other place I knew.
And most of the time we are so comfortable with what is familiar in our life.
Yes. I looked for a small house, 500 shillings. I got a house for 500 shillings. That house, I think I should go back to that house and take a photo.
We should. No, let's do
we
it.
Should, we should do this, huh?
Yes.
It's a date. We should. So, I look for a house. You could see someone when you're outside. It was a very small house. And I bought...
Iron sheet?
No.
Mud.
Timber.
Muddy. Timber.
Yes. And I bought some few basic items like a mattress where we would sleep on.
You paid how much? How many months rent? Just to be safe?
3? Yeah, 3. I paid 1,500. Yeah, wow. There was no electricity. So I bought like a mattress, a small one, some blankets, a stove, and those small things. Because I knew how I will use this money will determine the rest of the future.
Are you thinking about the school fees?
Yes, I'm thinking about the school fees. I'm thinking about how to start a business, what to do.
The coming baby.
It was too much. By this time I was 23. So, with the rest of the money...
23 with an experience.
With an experience. A lot of experience.
Because from 16 to 23...
it has been a journey.
We think we have stories, not until you listen to someone else's.
So, I was left with 8,000. After doing all those things, I was left with 8,000. So, I decided I'll look for something to do this 8,000. And so that any business. And I talked to people and I did my research and I started a business of selling charcoal. I would go for charcoal in Narok, in wholesale, and sell to retailers. And it boomed. The business did so well. I took my children to school.
You gave birth?
No, I had not given birth. I did this business until I gave birth. And I remember that day before I took myself to hospital, because the doctors had already told me that I was going to have another CS. Before I took, and there was a date they had set. Before I took myself to hospital, I went to Narok, like a day before, and bought charcoal. Brought, sold, and then took a shower and took myself to hospital for a CS. And I had my child. I had my baby. I had my daughter. This time it was a girl. Yeah.
Who did you name? Not your mother?
Not my mother.
Okay.
Not my mother.
Because that was the swearing part.
I named her after my auntie. Yeah.
The good auntie who was taking care of you.
Yeah, my dad's sister. And I went back home. And now I had to heal. Now it's another CS, and the second CS is very painful. And after healing, I looked at the money, the little money. The macabre business, the charcoal business did so well. Yeah. I looked at the money I had in my account and decided if I don't do another business,
You're going to be in trouble.
we are going to be in trouble.
And you're still living in the 500.
No, I had moved now to a
better
5,000.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. It's like a high five. Congratulations.
Yeah. So I researched. I did my research. My daughter was 3 months old and decided to go to Sudan. I looked for someone to leave my daughter with.
And the boys?
And the boys too. You know, my daughter was only
3 months, yeah.
Yeah. And I would buy clothes in Italy and take them to Southern Sudan. And I would sell. My business did so well. Oh my goodness. I had money. I now moved to a bigger house. I took my children to good schools.
Did you leave your children with?
I just someone I knew, a woman, a nanny, yeah. And I would be, it was, my life was to and fro. I'm here, I'm in Sudan, I'm here, yeah. And the business did so well.
And the dude, what happened?
By this time,
You have no idea.
I don't even want to know. Yeah.
This time it was for G. You know, we go and come. And then there is this one time.
The problem with me, with people who have gone through issues, it is once. We will keep at it, we'll keep
at it. Yeah,
we'll keep at it, we will
But when you wash your hands.
But when you wash your hands,
yeah,
no matter what. So I knew, when I left, I knew I was doing this for good. So he tried to get me back, but there was no way I was going back. Yeah. So
the business is doing well in Sudan.
And here I am living the best
of your life.
Of my life.
Yes.
But let me tell you something. When the devil wants to frustrate you, he will. He will. Especially if you're not born again. And at one point I bought a second-hand phone.
In Sudan or in
No, in Kenya. And it was a stolen phone. I didn't know. I was tracked. I remember when the police came for me. They were waiting for me outside, is it called, where we go to, I had gone to renew my Nyayo house, my passport. Flying squad. They were waiting for me outside
the
Nyayo house. And I was shocked, like, what have I done? And
they come harassing you.
And they come harassing me, although they don't harass women. Yeah,
That much.
Police don't harass women. They don't actually even put handcuffs on you. Yeah, so they escorted me to Central Police Station. I was there from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then on Monday, I was taken to Milimani Law Court. And I took a plea of not guilty. And when you take a plea, you can pay bail and do your case when you're outside. And I called my friend, my best friend at that point, and I told her, this is my ATM, because you can't just go to withdraw money when you have been when you're taken to court. This is my PIN, withdraw money today, tomorrow, because you cannot
withdraw a lot.
Yeah. Today, tomorrow, and then come and pay bail for me.
And you had that much money?
I had a lot of money. Not actually that.
You
I had a lot.
You felt like life was paying you back.
Exactly. So, and that is how she disappeared with my money. She never came back. She never came back.
This was your best friend?
Yes. Money changes people.
So you give her ATM, go, I need a bill, I need to bail myself out.
Yes.
You have nanny with 3 babies and a house rent.
Yes.
To pay.
Yes.
Then she disappears.
She disappears with a lot of money. And I was in Langata, remand for 1 year, 8 months.
What happens to your babies?
I don't know. At this point, I don't know. Nobody knows I'm in prison, first of all. She never told anyone. had not called anyone because I knew
You'll get out.
I'll get out. So I think people thought I had gone back to Sudan. And I was in there for 1 year, 8 months. No money. And when you're in prison without money, there's no communication. There's nothing. You're in there.
First, you wait. Me imagine waiting for your friend to show up, and she doesn't show up.
Every day I waited for her, like for a week.
You even telling the police, "Gojeni kwanza."
You see, actually when you go to prison, when you have braids, they remove them. So I kept telling them, please don't remove mine. Someone is coming
for me.
Yeah. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. And then I realized.
You remove them.
Yeah.
You're like,
no, not even. No, you can't be given. You can't stay with them for a week. Yeah. So they were removed, and I was in prison 1 year, 1 year, 8 months. Yeah. And then I was taken to court, and then my case was dismissed for lack of evidence. And here I am. I'm going back to life now.
So imagine, Ebu start us. You live in the courthouse now. You're free. Where do you start? Where do you get even transport to go home?
When my case was dismissed, I was in Milimani. And I was actually, at that time, I was very sick. I had typhoid, I had amoeba. I left Milimani up to Koja. Migu, walking. And I think I looked some kind of way, because there's a Makanga who saw me and asked, what's wrong with you? Where have you been? Because I've not seen you for a long time. And I told him, I've been here. You look sick. And I told him, yes, I am sick. He asked me, do you need help? I asked him, kindly buy me a bottle of water and give me 50 shillings to take me back to Kabete. And that's exactly what he did. And when I went to Kabete, to my former house,
it was empty.
No, they had a new tenant. And the landlord used to stay in the same compound. And I went to his place and I asked him, and he said, you did not leave me, you did not leave your children with me, so I don't know what you're asking me. Yeah, now it's now looking for my children. What was happening is they were living with, here today they're here, tomorrow they're here.
With the relatives still?
With friends, with relatives. They were all over. I left my daughter, when my daughter was 2 years, she was 4 years. She saw me and she ran away. She didn't even know me. So I found them with a friend, and when she saw me, now the stigma, now there's that distance, the stigma. She didn't want to know I came to realize that people knew I was in prison. There are a few people my friend had told. And now that stigma, you've been in prison, so you're a bad person. We don't know what you have done. And she asked me, take your children and go. And I asked her, where am I going? Remember, I'm very sick. I'm actually, when I go to the toilet, there's blood in my system. Yeah. Each time I put something down, blood comes out. Yeah. So I actually thought I was going to die, and I thought, this is it. But I took my children and I went to the only other place I knew, the church. I used to fellowship. And the pastor listened to me. He listened to me. And he said, now, here you are. I don't know how I can help you. But for now, the only way I can help you is I'll give you 100 shillings. Just go and make sure you don't get pregnant. Now the notion that I've been in prison, the only other thing I want is to have a man.
Yeah.
And I left not knowing where to go. And I was so bitter, as in I was so bitter with life. And not once, not twice thoughts crossed my mind of committing suicide or doing something.
So, released from prison, you meet someone who gives you 50 shilling and a bottle of water, 100 shilling, 50 shilling and bottle of water. Landlord tells you didn't leave your children with me. He didn't even have a courtesy to really explain where they moved. then you meet your child and they do not even, somehow your daughter doesn't remember or runs away.
Yeah.
Mama, guys, we'll be right back.